Okay, for the ones that recently joined, welcome to our VMware webinar to give you a status update on the recent changes. I see no one joining anymore for the moment, so let's go with our slide deck. Some house rules, as always, everyone is muted during the webinar. There is a Q&A box available to the Teams client. We will try to answer your questions or during the session or at the end of the session. If we're running out of time or if there are questions that we can't answer on the spot, we will provide a list with all the questions and answers after the meeting, and we will follow up on that through an email. As always, a disclaimer. I think it speaks for itself. Some of the info might be super fresh or maybe not yet well known or spread out over the audience. So please keep it for yourself. And of course, we know Broadcom. Broadcom is a bit of a dynamic company. So the information that's currently in the slides is the information that is today correct, but it might not be correct anymore tomorrow or the day afterwards. I'm not alone giving this presentation. I've brought my colleague Thierry van den Bergen with me, and he will dive a little bit deeper in some topics on the agenda. So first of all, Broadcom strategy, then update to the VMware Partner Program. What's next? Because there are quite some important changes that have been communicated beginning of January. We also wanted to touch on the quoting process because we noticed there are still some information missing when a partner requested quotes for a VMware update. So, and of course, some Q&A. So let's start with the Broadcom strategy. Well, I think that from the beginning, since the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, the strategy has also always been very clear. The strategy of Broadcom is being a driver onto the future of the private cloud, powered by VMware Cloud Foundation. You see that in all communications, in all LinkedIn advertisers they do, when you engage with a Broadcom account director, their main goal is to position that VMware Cloud Foundation product to the end customers. And to do that, since the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, they've done a number of changes. First of all, the divestment of non-core assets. As you might remember, the VDI solution, the end-user computing part was sold to another entity and has been brought under the umbrella of the Omnissa Corporation. VeloCloud, to give another example, has been sold off to Arista. So they are selling off their parts that Broadcom does not consider to be a core asset or to be valuable for their road to the private cloud. Of course, the switch to that subscription-only model. Before the acquisition of VMware, we still had perpetual licenses. You bought a license, you bought the right to use that license indefinitely, and that was typically combined with a support and maintenance contract that you could renew on an annual or 3-year basis. Today, that's no longer the case. It's subscription only. When your subscription ends, you must stop using the VMware product. In fact, the VMware product itself will lose its functionality when the expiration date has passed, meaning that your virtual machines will keep on running, but you lose a part of the management capabilities of that infrastructure. And as I already said, the focus on the private cloud, VCF, VMware Cloud Foundation, is the unified private cloud platform for customers. That's the solution that you're trying to sell, and that's their main focus. What we also noticed that they are targeting those enterprise customers. It's something that we've seen in prior acquisitions by Broadcom as well. If you look at the prior acquisitions they did, they are really focusing on that top 500, top 2,000 of customers. So as we all know, in Belgium and Luxembourg, we are a typical SMB country, a lot of smaller customers. And if we see it, for example, in the changing portfolio, in the beginning, we still had Essentials and Essentials Plus, specifically targeted towards those SMB customers. Those are products that have been no longer available for quite some time. So they're really targeting those enterprise customers with their VCF product. And there are some things ongoing as well. So for example, the portfolio simplification. And I think that Thierry is going to dive a little bit deeper into that.
Thank you, Marnix. Yeah, portfolio simplification, it has already been going on for a couple of years since they took over Broadcom, made it all the SMB products, but mainly they simplified their offering, less upgrade, cross-grade possibilities, and we ended up with, let's say, 3 big parts or divisions in their portfolio. The most important division, private cloud, with the remaining vSphere products, so the private cloud with the VCF product, the Cloud Foundation, VVF, vSphere Foundation, and vSphere Enterprise Plus and vSphere Standard. Of course, we also have the Kubernetes, the application platform, the modern application platform based on the Tanzu product portfolio. And of course, as an add-on on the VCF portfolio, we also have the load balancing and the advanced security, the vDefend products available. So quite a reduction in number of products and cross-grade and upgrade possibilities. Due to the limited number of time we have, let's just focus on the private cloud for a moment. So, like Marnix already told, VMware Cloud Foundation is really, in Broadcom's eyes, the only product and the only way to go. It's their solution for a complete private cloud for your customers. For the smaller customers, let's say, in Broadcom's eyes, we still have a little bit smaller bundle, less features like automation and so on. And that's the one, vSphere Foundation. And then Belgian market, what's mainly sold is vSphere Standard and vSphere Enterprise Plus, the core virtualization products. There has been a release of vSphere 9 in the last year, the biggest update since Broadcom took over. The problem is that vSphere 9 or the V9 platform has only been available for VCF and vSphere Foundation. vSphere Enterprise Plus and vSphere Standard remain on the vSphere 8 code base, meaning that we probably expect some other announcements around the September-October timeframe from Broadcom, because the V8 will go end of life in October 2027, meaning that if, like all subscriptions, you buy them for 1 year, that around September, October this year, VMware by Broadcom will have to make a decision on what's the way forward with vSphere Standard and vSphere Enterprise Plus. Aside of all the product simplifications, they are reintroducing some other hassle, and that's the lowest part in this slide, and that's the availability of certain products. They are messing around now with availability of certain products, like vSphere Standard, for instance, is only available in the EMEA region only. vSphere Enterprise Plus is only available in the European Economic Area, and VCF, of course, everywhere, but there they have a slight difference in the bundle. If I go to the next slide, if you have a look at VMware Cloud Foundation, one of the parts here, AI related, is the VCF Private AI piece of software. That's within the bundle in the rest of the world, except the European Economic Area. So if you have a customer interested in the VCF private AI functionalities, keep in mind that within the European Economic Area, you will have to purchase an add-on for that functionalities. Lesser known, lesser sold in Belgium, we also have VMware Cloud Foundation Edge story. Of course, that's only available for edge locations, and you need, let's say, a VCF installation in your headquarters. There is a minimum commit of 10 sites, so it's not really for the smaller customers either, but it's available and it's a cheaper placed offering. vSphere Foundation, it's just the vSphere part with VCF operations and vSAN. Keep in mind here that you don't get a 1 TB of vSAN entitlement with vSphere Foundation, but only a quarter of a TB available here. Of course, for all previous mentioned products, except the Edge, there is a 16 cores minimum per CPU licensing. If you have a look at the vSAN, if you don't have enough vSAN capacity with the cores bought for the product, then for VCF, VCF Edge, and VVF, VCF, VVF, and you can buy an add-on of per TB. Keep in mind that the add-on is not available for VCF Edge. If you want or you don't have enough TB covered with the cores of your VCF Edge licensing, you need simply to buy additional VCF Edge licenses until you have enough for your vSAN capacity. vSphere, vSphere Enterprise Plus and vSphere Standard, the well-known products, also 16 cores per CPU minimum. vSphere Standard is available in the whole EMEA region only, while vSphere Enterprise Plus is only available in the European Economic Area, so not the whole EMEA. Keep that in mind. And I think we're back to Marnix now.
Yep, thanks, Thierry. So portfolio simplification, as explained by Thierry, and of course, the other change that they are doing is the partner ecosystem reshaping. So for that, we move on to the next topic on our agenda, the update to the VMware Partner Program. There are actually two partner programs within the VMware Partner ecosystem. You have resell partners. Those are the partners that sell subscription licenses to the end customers. They do like an installation of server, network, storage infrastructure. They provide the licenses, and they hand over the ownership to the end customer. And then you have the CSP, the cloud service providers partners. Those are typically those partners that provide as a service solutions to their end customer, being IaaS, SaaS, PaaS, or any other acronym ending on as a service. Why is there a difference in those two partner programs? Because the CSP partner program is typically aimed to those managed service providers, but I'll touch on that on a later slide. Let's first start with the resell partner levels. If you look at the partner landscape in Belgium and Luxembourg prior to the acquisition, we had around 150, 160 partners with a very wide registered partner base, 116 registered partners. After the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, Broadcom did a number of optimizations in that partner landscape. If you look now at the current scope or the current landscape, since the announcement of January the 2nd, then we see that there has been a big cleanup during the last 2 years. During the cleanup of January the 2nd, so on January the 2nd, all the partners should have received an email by Broadcom. And there were two types of emails. There was one email that announced them that they are going to be retained as a partner. And there was an email that announced that they were going to be deauthorized as a partner. For those deauthorized partners in Belgium and Luxembourg, we're talking about 60 partners, 60 partners that got a deauthorization letter. That means that they can still transact VMware licenses. till April the 1st of this year. But after that, they are no longer VMware partner and they can no longer transact. What it actually means is that they got rid of the whole registered partner tier. They moved some partners from Premier to Pinnacle, shifted a bit. And of course, the Pinnacle partners, there are a number of Pinnacle partners that even in Belgium do not qualify to be a Pinnacle partner. But due to the fact that they have like a mother company or a sister company within another country that has the Pinnacle status, they can profit from that partner status from that partner in another country. If you look at the requirements for the remaining partner levels, it's based on points, starting at 125 points for the select partner, all the way up to 2,000 points for a Pinnacle partner. I can go a little bit more in detail. Those points are based on performance points, meaning revenue, how much VMware licenses, VMware Cloud Foundation licenses do you sell, or Application Network Security or Tanzu licenses do you sell, and a number of capability points. Capability points exist out of certifications, trainings, how many Broadcom nights do you have within the organization, and so on. Next, the CSP partners, so for the managed service provider, the cloud service providers. If you look at the status before the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, we also had different partner levels, going from registered to Pinnacle. And each partner was allowed to transact through an aggregator, like, for example, TD SYNNEX. It was based on a true pay-as-you-use system, so you could monthly report the SKUs and the amount of SKUs that you were actually using, and each queue had a point value. You add everything up, and you got an invoice based on that actual usage of the previous month. On top of that, you were able to do like a commit value that you promised VMware that you were going, for example, to do at least 2,000 points, because then you could get a more economic, interesting price quote on your point value. Currently, that point system has been erased. It's no longer valid. You just pay in USD per SKU that you use. And of course, the number of SKUs was also drastically reduced. When prior to the acquisition, there were almost all the solutions in the portfolio. Now, within the current CSP partner system, you only have VCF. And VCF on the typical price, the typical list price, 350 euros per core per month. There is also no longer a pay-as-you-use system, so there's only a prepaid commit. A CSP partner must commit to an amount of cores that he is going to use on a monthly basis, and you can overage on that commit level, but then everything that you use above your commit level will be charged at the normal list price, so there's no discount on that. Another change that they did is that only the two highest partner levels are allowed to transact through an aggregator or a CCM. So only Pinnacle and Premier partners are allowed to transact with TD SYNNEX. The registered partners must use a system that they called the white label program. So a registered partner must get their licenses from a Premier and a Pinnacle partner. They can no longer transact to an aggregator. The resellers got an email on January the 2nd announcing the changes in the partner ecosystem. The CSP partners got an email a few weeks later about the changes in the partner system. And what are those changes? Well, as of April 2027, only Pinnacle partners remain. For Belgium, those are 3 partners, and for Luxembourg, that is 1 partner. So in whole the Benelux region, we're only talking about 4 partners that can still be a CSP partner as of April 2027. Why that big grace period till April 2027? That's only due to the fact that most CSP contracts were signed for 3 years in 2024, and the end date of that contract is March 2027. So all the registered partners and all the Premier partners can still use those licenses till March 2027, but then they must stop. And for the moment, there is no real solution for those partners. That being said, what are the possibilities mainly for those resale partners? Well, for the deauthorized partners, there was a possibility to start an appeal procedure. That was something that needed to be completed by the end of January. And normally, we should have already received the results from Broadcom. But unfortunately, when I talk to partners, not many of them have heard anything. And when I talk to Broadcom themselves, they're still debating on the final results. Now, to be 100% honest, it's not the first time that Broadcom has done this. It's not the first time that they did an optimization in the partner landscape. And the previous times there was also an appeal procedure, but actually it didn't result in that many partners being granted back into the system or in the partner system. So honestly, I don't think that many partners that started the appeal procedure will be granted back in the program, but we'll have to see until the results are finally in. Regardless of the decision of Broadcom, everyone that is a deauthorized partner can still transact until the end of March 2026. So there is still 19, 20 days left that you, if you are a deauthorized partner, can still request Data Synnex for renewals of your existing licensing base or even request new licenses. What we've noticed is that Broadcom today also grants new CPQs for licenses that are renewed after that cutoff date. So if you have customers that are due to renewal, for example, in, I don't know, August or September of this year, you'll probably still be able to get a renewal quote for that, and you will probably still be able to order that before, of course, the end of March 2026. So if you're aware of licenses that get end of life before the end of the fiscal year of Broadcom, I would strongly suggest to still try and get a quote on them. Next phase is that as a deauthorized partner, well, the only way that you can still help your VMware customers is that you start looking for a retained partner, a partner that after April the 2nd is still allowed to do VMware business. We at Data Synnex can help you getting in touch with those partners. So if after April the 2nd you still want to help your VMware customers in renewing their licenses, we can help you getting in contact with those partners that have agreed to help us on that. For the retained partners in resale, well, the only recommendations that we can give is that you need to make sure that you're compliant with all the requirements by the next evaluation point. The next evaluation point, the next measuring point, will be in May 2026, so that's only a few months away. And Broadcom will then evaluate if all your requirements are still met, if you still have enough certifications in place, if you did enough revenue on the products that count towards that partner level, and will probably correct the partner level if that's no longer the case. So make sure that you know where to find the partner leveling dashboard at the Broadcom partner portal, because through the partner leveling dashboard, you as a reseller can see what your current status is on both your current partner level, but also what you're potentially missing if you want to move up to another partner level. If you don't know where to find that partner leveling dashboard, or if you don't have access, please reach out to us, and we will try to help you where we can to get access to that dashboard. Now, for the VMware business after April the 2nd, so the flow of invoicing always needs to be starting at VMware, going to a distributor like Data Synnex, then a VMware authorized partner, the reseller, and then the end customer. So for those deauthorized partners that are no longer able to transact after April the 2nd, they cannot buy their licenses through a VMware authorized partner. Sub-distribution is explicitly not allowed by Broadcom. So the flow of invoicing or the flow of license delivery must always be Broadcom, distribution, authorized partner, end customer. So the only way that an end customer that used to buy their licenses through a VMware deauthorized partner to get a renewal on their licenses is that he or she contacts a VMware authorized partner. We would, however, recommend, if you're looking to go that way, to have a kind of gentleman's agreement in place between the retained and the deauthorized partner. Because, of course, as a deauthorized partner, you want to make sure that that retained partner only sells the VMware licenses and not gets away with also positioning server, storage, or what other solutions that he or she has in their portfolio. So we would strongly recommend to have like a kind of gentleman's agreement in place that covers that. And maybe while you're at it, you can also add some paragraphs regarding timing SLAs, maybe a margin or an incentive. Maybe you can negotiate a kickback with that retained partner that for each end customer that you provide him with to sell VMware licenses to, you get like a kickback. But that's of course something that you as a deauthorized partner needs to discuss with that retained partner, and that we as Telesinix as the distributor cannot help you with that. We can only provide recommendations, but we cannot put the agreement itself into place. Just a few slides on VMware services that Telesinix is providing, of course, mainly focusing towards those retained partners. What are the services that we from Telesinix can provide towards VMware customers? Well, after the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, one of the things that Telesinix needed to do by request of Broadcom is that we built our own support center. Because we as Telesinix, as a preferred distributor, provide technical support to those end customers that bought their licenses from Broadcom. So we have a large support center with more than 120 certified engineers. And of that 120 certified engineers, we even have more than 12 Broadcom Knights at the highest certification level at Broadcom. And until a few months ago, we only used those people to provide support post-sales services. And that's, of course, a bit of a shame because those people are capable of doing more than that. So that's why that we've created a number of off-the-shelf packages, going from audits to health checks to even completely fresh installations, migrations from old versions to new versions, with a fixed price, with project management and everything included. So if you're a partner that doesn't have enough resources to cope with the increasing request of services that need to be provided, then we from Telesinix can white label those services for you and provide those installation or health checks to your end customers. I think that one of the difficulties that we are facing when we get a request for a quote is that not always all the information is available. And if I'm not mistaken, Thierry is going to touch on that a bit more.
Thank you, Marnix. For every order, we also need a VMware quote, so we can't really order with a quote just from Telesinix. It's a pity, but that's life. If you didn't know it, if you need a quote, just send us an email. That's our email address on top. For practical reasons, I think my colleagues like it if you, for each request, you send one mail. Don't put 60 requests in one mail because that's a hassle to do a follow-up, because we have to create the requests with Broadcom and don't always get all the 60 requests back or the quotes back in one answer on the same moment. So please don't consolidate the requests. So We also need, I would say, all the input as or most input possible here on the slide, because we also need to put that into the request to Broadcom. So although they have quite a big database themselves with all the info of the end users, we still with each request need to fill in every detail. So in your email, don't just say, I need a renewal quote for this end user. No, please give us the ERP number, the name, address, contact person, and so on. If it's new or a renewal or an expansion, the contract numbers, and also start date if it's new, and the start date if it's a renewal also, just the end date of the support plus 1 day. Term length you want. Keep in mind that at this moment, it's only VCF that is quoted as a multi-year. So all the rest, VVF, vSphere Enterprise Plus, and vSphere Standard is just quoted for 1 year. SKU quantity, and of course, if you know it, that's not really necessary, but if you know it, the Broadcom account director involved in the project. Customer lookup tool. There is a customer lookup tool on the Broadcom partner portal where you can find quite a few, not always every detail, but most details of your end user, if you're incumbent, of course. The SKUs, there is a partner price list with only the list prices in, of course, but it's available also on the partner portal. So if you wouldn't know the SKU, just go there. Keep in mind that VMware by Broadcom will, if the contract is expire, add some reinstatement fees. And also, although they say that the products will help you reduce costs and eliminate hardware, they don't like if you renew or ask for a renewal where the year expiring annual revenue is lower than the previous year of the previous renewal. So at that moment, there will be a discussion with Broadcom, with the account directors, and probably they will give smaller discounts on the licenses. Like Marnik said, you still have, let's say, 20 days almost to ask and process and order renewals. Quite important that we also have the orders in and could process the orders before the end of the month. But you can have a look at your expiring contracts also on the partner portal of Broadcom. So there is a link to your expiring contracts there, even if they expire after the end of March, but before the end of the fiscal of Broadcom this year. And that's it, I think. If there are any questions, please post them in the Q&A, I would say. And I don't know if Marnik still has something to say or wants to say something.
No, just that if after this session you still have questions or something that maybe pops up tomorrow or something, of course you can reach out to us and we will handle those questions afterwards. If there are no more questions, then I think we can wrap it up. Oh, no, there's a question, I see. It's posted in the chat, not in the Q&A. Which companies are the 3 Pinnacle partners in Belgium? You mean for a CSP, Tim, I presume? Yeah, I'm not quite sure if we're allowed to say it. So let's say that it's a big telco company and a big company in Flanders and one in French-speaking part. But I will have to check if we're allowed to disclose that information. If we can, I will reach out to you and communicate that information to you. Well, if there are no more questions, then I think we can wrap this one up. Thanks for your attendance. We have another webinar coming tomorrow. I think you can still subscribe for that one. We have a VM Partner Academy tomorrow on Thursday. And for those partners, there's also VMware Connect. It's not a Telecinix event, it's a VMware user group in Amsterdam next week, where you can also still register for, if I'm not mistaken. Then I thank everyone for their attendance and speak to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.